Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I attempt to make your life easier. Well, those of you who are learning Japanese and consider themselves not at beginner's level anymore. Yes, language learning is hard. I've been there a few times, and at the beginning you're very motivated and you're learning new things every day, so you have a feeling of accomplishment. And yes, at some point you get stuck and you feel like you're stuck on a certain level and you lose the fun of learning a language. And I've been there myself. Like, I love learning new languages. That's how I've been who I am, I kind of would say. That's how I got where I am now, and I learned a few little hacks and secrets about learning Japanese and some programs that might help those of you who feel like it's just too much to learn and there's no way to get through it all, and who wants a little bit help and who wants to make their life easier, right? Like work smarter, not harder kind of thing. Yeah, do you still say that? I don't know if you say that. But yes, there's just no shortcut in learning a new language. You have to put in time and effort, and the more time you put in, the more you get out of it. So write your kanjis, we all been there, just writing, and then one day, if you come to the point that you have the feeling you've forgotten more kanjis than you've ever learned, then you can come back to this video and feel free to use the tricks I'm going to mention. So first off, my favorite little iPhone, I don't know, I think you can also do it on Android. It's a nifty little hack and I think not a lot of people know about it. So let's see. All you have to do is to enable your Chinese keyboard. Yes, the Chinese, not the Japanese one. There is a keyboard that's called Handwritten Chinese. I would prefer the traditional Chinese handwritten. And if you enable this on your iPhone, I will show it to you. It's so easy to look up a kanji. So go to our favorite dictionary. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I personally mostly use Imiwa, but it doesn't really matter. And you just go to your Handwritten Chinese, and now you can write with your hand or a pen or whatever you want, and you just write the kanji and click this and go. It's so easy to find the kanji you're looking for. Like, normally what they teach you at university is to count strokes, and it's important to count the strokes and learn about the how the kanjis are set together. And so you also can use like a normal traditional dictionary, but I must admit I'm very bad at it now. That's kind of the bad thing about it. Like, new technology is good, but you will forget a lot about traditional media, so keep that in mind. It's so easy, and I haven't really found people talking about it. I know there are some dictionaries who have like the handwritten thing integrated, but with this you can use it whenever on every app, and I don't know, I love that. I love that too. Yes, so that's the first one. The second one, also a good app. Okay, good, like maybe in question marks, but the classical Google Translator got really handy for Japanese, as you have the picture translation. So what the picture translation does, you can take a photo. You can also do the live translation thing. You just hold the Japanese in front of the camera and it will translate directly. But this one, I kind of find it's a little bit messy and it will get confused and it will change the words. a few times. But if you use the picture option, so you take a picture and then you like choose a text that should be translated, it does a pretty good job. Like maybe not in long sentences, but if you have, for example, ingredient lists, and you're at the supermarket and you don't know what to buy, or you are allergic to something, then just make a picture and there you have it. It also saves time when you're reading longer text. And I did that for university, so here again, it's not good if you really need to learn the kanjis, you need to learn the words. It's a shortcut. You don't have to type in every kanji, and yes, it's just so much nicer if you have to read books in Japanese. And then tip number 3. Here we go into the more fun things to do with Japanese. Netflix series. At the moment, I guess we're all staying at home and watching too much TV. A few months ago, this would be a disaster, but now it's recommended, right? You should stay at home. So here you have a recommendation list of my favorite shows in Japanese on Netflix. And it's always good to hear Japanese and Japanese talking, and especially good to hear not the, how to put it, like informal ones, but normal Japanese talking. Like, so on this list, Terrace House would be one of the best for this, and they speak a very easy, understandable Japanese. And there's also a little hack for you out there. If you go into the audio settings, the show where you normally choose, I don't know, English, German, French, whatever language you want to watch it, there's an extra option for Japanese with extra commentary behind. For those of you who don't know the show, in Terrace House you have a house with 3 women and 3 men, mostly single, mostly models. But normal people starting a share house and they are being watched, and they say there's no script, but maybe there's one real. I guess there is a little bit scripted, but you watch them live their daily life, have conversation, go to work, do whatever. And after a few minutes of those scenes, the fun begins, because there are some popular Japanese like TV people, how's the word? And they are commentating on the show and what's happening. And if you enable the commentary Japanese, you can hear them speaking while they are watching the clips. So you have not just the Japanese spoken in the scene, but also the behind the scene comments on what is happening. It's a little bit more confusing. I love it. I love to put it on just to relax, and also to tell myself I'm learning Japanese, right? I'm watching in Japanese, so that's learning, right? Just not Netflix, yeah. The next tip is for your PC. It's called for Firefox Rikai-chan, and for Chrome it's Rikai-kun. And what it does, it translates the kanji into hiragana and katakana for you, so you don't have to look up every kanji. Maybe you don't understand the meaning, but then you have to look it up. But you directly get the furigana on the kanji, and it's so easy to use. You just install the plugin, and every time you're opening a Japanese website on your browser, it will automatically translate. And if you go over the words, like the kanji, the furigana will pop up. So it's very handy, easy to use, and I love it. Then I switched to the Mac, so now I use Safari browser mostly. And there's no real plugin, but for Apple you have the dictionary that's like pre-installed. So you just need to enable the Japanese English dictionary, and if you have a Japanese word that you don't understand, you do the 3-finger tap and it will open up the dictionary next to the word and tell you the reading, tell you the meaning, and you can even go further into it by clicking on please open a dictionary and get more information out of it. So that's really handy for reading, I don't know, newspaper sites or also the Japanese Wikipedia. I sometimes use it and that's really great. So it saves a lot of time. And you still have the feeling of learning something because it's not a direct translation, so you just look up words you don't understand, but you have to make up the meaning by yourself with the whole sentence. That's very great. And yes, now we are going to a very interesting topic for me because I just learned about it by myself in the last, I would say, 2 years. So it's kind of a secret and I don't know why. It's getting a little bit more popular because also other Japanese YouTubers, like Japanese learning YouTubers, are starting to talk about it more. But it's about the Japanese accent. And when you're learning Japanese here in Germany, and I think it's the same for Europe or the US, I'm pretty sure it is, you don't learn about the tones. Like you're learning, no, Japanese is a flat language and just don't make any tones, just speak flat and then it will be fine. And generally speaking, you will be fine by that. People will understand you. It's not like the Chinese that the tone will change the whole communication and you can't communicate properly. But you never get the satisfaction of conquering Japanese, right? Like when I learn a language, I want to learn it and I don't know how to put it. I'm not angry at teachers who are following a colloquium and saying, okay, it's not important enough and Japanese has so much to learn, we concentrate on other parts. But I still would like to give the chance to learn about it and maybe be more informed about it, to say, okay, you can read those books and here you go, but you don't really need to, but I don't know. But I wasn't taught about it in school or university, so it's kind of a bummer, right? So now I'm trying to catch up with that, about the Japanese pitch accent and how to probably do the tones. Thinking back, there was one occasion where I could have figured it out when I was a high school student in Japan. And it was normal to greet your teachers, or not you, but every teacher you meet in the hall, you have to greet. So one morning I was walking down the stairs and saying like, "Ohayou gozaimasu" to a Japanese teacher. And I'm just passing by him and he was turning back to me and was like complimenting on my Japanese and was like, "Oh, it's getting better. You do ohayou gozaimasu," and doing like a wave thing. And I was a little bit confused, but like happy confused, and was like, yes, but still confused because I thought, yes, it's one of the first words you learn. What's so special about it? It's more like, okay, I want to talk to the foreign girl, and like the classical "Nihongo jozu," like they are saying that without any meaning. But now, looking back, I kind of get what he meant, like really meant. He meant the tones of the words are sounding better than when I started learning Japanese. And of course, if you're living in the Japanese environment and speaking to Japanese people, you get a grasp of this a lot easier, and you automatically start mimicking your environment and start copying your people around. And that's also the only way of learning it. Like I'm reading articles now and about the pronunciation, and there are some rules in it, and I wrote down a few words and start to concentrate more on my mistakes. And good way you can do that is by going on the NHK news website. Like they have an easy Nihongo where the news of NHK are written in an easier way, easy Japanese, and also you have the furigana on the kanjis. Here comes the trick. They have an audio of every article, so you can play the audio and just copy, like read it out loud. Just copy the person speaking to you. By concentrating on that and concentrating on the tones and be aware that there are tones, and in some cases it actually makes a difference in words. So you have the classical example of bridge and chopstick. Like bridge meaning hashi, going up, like the pitch is on the shi, hashi. And if you want to say chopstick, it's on the ha, hashi, hashi. So it makes a difference. Like if you do it wrong, people will mostly understand you because of the context. And Japanese is a very context-based language. So they are kind of used to grab it out of the air and read the airman. 空気を読んでる人が必要です。It's kind of a weird aspect. Maybe I will talk about that. Reading the air culture, right? It's a little bit weird for foreigners, but that would be maybe a fun video to make. So yes. And the last tip I have for you is talking to natives. That's really easy to say, right? That's not a real hack, right? But there is the app called Hi Native, and I actually use it a lot if I have like words meaning the same in my dictionaries, but I don't really get what the difference. So you can just ask people and search for those questions. Or if you have one sentence you just don't get it, like I don't know, sometimes you have a sentence you just can't translate and you're like, what the heck do they want from me, right? So then you just put it into Hi Native, wait a few minutes, and Japanese people on there are very helpful, I think. So you get an answer to your question, and that's how you do it. So yes, I hope this video was helpful for some of you, and I hope and wish you a lot of fun learning Japanese. It's a great language and I still have fun learning it after all those years. And of course sometimes you have downhills and you just think, okay, why am I doing that to myself? Because you never really conquer the whole language, right? With the kanjis, you never learn everything. You can't learn everything. And it's a lifelong commitment. Welcome to the club. So, I wish you a nice week and see you soon. Bye!